The Phoenix Rescue Mission is out with the result of a new study that looks at homelessness, substance abuse, and food insecurity. To learn more, we welcome Nathan Smith, the Phoenix Rescue Mission's Chief Program Officer. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here.
Hey, it's glad to be here.
All right, let's talk about this. Homelessness and substance abuse and food insecurity. What were you looking at here?
Yeah, we really wanted more than anything to learn about these problems from people who are either experiencing the problems of homelessness, addiction, and food insecurity, or those who are working into these problem areas. And so we wanted to, rather than just count the number of people experiencing these issues, gather some really good qualitative information that we could use to, for our own selves, kind of dictate our future course, but also contribute back to the community.
I'm seeing 1,200 people or so interviewed over about 16 months. That sound about right?
Yeah, 1,200 people were interviewed from, again, people experiencing homelessness, food insecurity, and substance use disorder. And also we interviewed a whole variety of other stakeholders like mayors, city managers, people working directly as case managers of the issues, business owners who were impacted, faith leaders. So we really encompassed a broad array of stakeholders in the study.
For those experiencing homelessness, what did you ask them and what did they tell you?
More than anything, we wanted to figure out what resources existed, what problems existed, and where the gap was. And so we would ask questions like, what's been your greatest challenge in overcoming homelessness? Do you also experience substance abuse disorder or mental health challenges and things of that nature? And one of my favorites was, what's stopping you from entering shelter if you're living on the streets?
What'd you hear?
One of the things that are stopping people from entering shelters are that we summarize it as they're inadequate and inaccessible. But more than anything, what that means is people don't enjoy the rules at a shelter. They think that they're overcrowded. They think that they're unsafe. Those are all things that are in the realm of service providers to make some changes around. So a lot of times we talk about people don't enter services because they're service resistant. But in fact, the study says if you look at what the nature of the services is, you may be able to make some changes and people would be less resistant to entering into them.
That sounds like a great idea. It sounds as though the economic factor is #1 on the list as far as why people are where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no surprise, of course, that housing, lack of affordable housing, a major economic factor is one. One of my favorites, though, was we asked people, you know, what is stopping them from getting off the streets, and they mentioned a lack of employment. And so in other words, there are a lot of people out there who really want to work and have better jobs to resolve some of the economic factors that are preventing them from exiting homelessness, but for whatever reason, they're not able to access good employment services.
You mentioned lack of affordable housing, but from what I saw on the list, it looked like that was actually last on the list. So did I get that wrong? I mean,
there's a lot of other issues besides purely a lack of affordable housing. As a macro level problem, that is definitely a significant issue, and our study did unearth that. But we also came up with a lot of other things that when you ask people themselves, they mention, again, like substance abuse or lack of ability to access showers. So when I go to an interview, I look like I'm experiencing homelessness and things like that.
Right, at 68%, I'm seeing here nearly 68% of the unhoused do have some addiction issues.
Yeah, which is more than twice what you would gather from a point-in-time count study, for instance. And so, yes, we unearthed what we think we already knew anecdotally, proven in the data, which is that substance abuse is a major problem on the streets.
Okay, for those who are dealing with people experiencing homelessness, the other people that you interviewed here, what did you ask them and what did they tell you?
Yeah, we asked them questions. One of my favorites was a question around what do you know about the resources that are involved in solving some of these issues? And we asked a variety of questions to kind of get to that point, and found that people know that there are resources and don't know how to access them. So one of our big findings was that there's just generally a lack of public awareness around the problems and especially around existing local solutions to the problems that people are facing.
So getting that information out, especially if you got to go to a park, if you got to go to a street, that information just simply isn't there.
It just isn't there. People don't know that you can, for instance, call Phoenix Rescue Mission's Homeless Street Outreach Hotline, and that will show up and help someone solve the problems that they're facing and any of the number of resources for these issues.
Well, I mean, and if you were not part of the survey, someone would ask you these questions as well. So taking this survey and the results, how does it change what you do?
For us, it really helps us. I would say one of the major points is it helps us identify the importance of integrated services. So people experience a lack of access to all kinds of things. Substance use disorder services, healthcare services was a big thing, and employment services. And oftentimes the delivery of these services is disjointed. You have to go to all these different places. So more than anything, what it says is we need to double down in collaborating in one spot with people who can offer these kinds of services so that folks don't have to go here and there to access them, that they can get them in one place.
Wow, sounds like a great idea. Nathan Smith, Phoenix Rescue Mission, great job on this. Interesting survey, interesting results. Thanks for sharing. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom, for having me.